I call on our special guest, General Peter Cosgrove, to officially launch the book, I will take the opportunity, if you don't mind, to say a few words about PCFA and how General Cosgrove came to be with us today. Firstly, PCFA is now regarded as the peak national body for prostate cancer in Australia, and we are dedicated to funding research, raising awareness and providing support. Supporting efforts like this are what we're all about. Now, how we got to speak with General Cosgrove. Not that he's hard to get hold of, but one of my best mates, Brian Hamilton, who's sitting up the back, served with General Cosgrove in Vietnam. And as you know, returned servicemen have a great trust and camaraderie with each other. This is the case with Brian and Peter. And when we decided we wanted to invite the General to be our special guest speaker to assist with the launch, I asked Brian to make the introduction, and the rest is history. Thanks, mate. It is therefore with great pleasure that we invite General Peter Cosgrove, AC MC retired, to the podium to launch this wonderful prostate cancer resource. Peter Cosgrove.
I brought one, but I should have known there was one already there. That's typical of the planning. I can report to you, ladies and gentlemen, that is grist for the mill for PCFA. They're the most organised not-for-profit I've ever met. They're fantastic. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be associated with what I think will be a tremendous adjunct to health issues in Australia, to men's health on this particular one indeed. It's, I'll of course momentarily go on to speak in a little bit more detail about that, but it simply is a marvellous moment for me. To David Malouf, Graham Johnson, David Sando, particularly to Andrew Giles and Wendy Farrow, all of you, thank you for your various parts in sponsoring and arranging today. I think what I see is it is an appropriately profile launch for this wonderful addition to a very important health issue. When I was approaching age 40, I happened to be in Canberra, that's where I was posted, and I was also promoted to the rank of Colonel. This is a magic age if you're an ambitious army officer, around 40, because around 40, if you've got what it takes, you get this promotion. Around 40, you start to get that next tier of jobs, which, if you're good enough, will lead you further up the ladder. But it's not all beer and skittles. Around 40, you qualify for an annual prostate check. And in all of my colleagues, this joy of elevation was tinged with the apprehension of what was to follow. I can remember discussions of people going to annual medicals from that age onwards, and it would always be, but I think I'll be out of town on that day. Yeah. I think that's typical of the ordinary attitude of male Australians towards this disease, this condition. An apprehension, almost a fear, and therefore a reluctance to inform yourself about what is so much more readily mitigated or cured or dispatched from your profile if caught early enough. I'm delighted to be with you for the launch of this vital contribution to healthcare by Associate Professor Prem Rashid. It was typical of you, I think, to mention Rachel and the boys. And in the context of acknowledging the fact that your zest and your huge professional input to this would not have been possible without the indulgence and love and support of your family. And I think that resonates with everybody in the room, and I'm very glad that they've been able to come down from Port Macquarie to be here today. In fact, it seems to me that most of the Port Macquarie medical fraternity are here today. But I am reliably informed there's at least one person on duty up there. I notice that the member for Port Macquarie is here. He goes where the doctors are. He's a rugby player from times past, Peter Bestling. So he would say, you know, he's following the strength down here. I suppose most of you will have seen that ad that's been on television recently. You know the one. It's a youngish woman who's just been told she's got lung cancer. And beyond her own instant terror and misery, she has to tell her own kids. Now, ads like that strike a chord with all of us, whether we've ever had a personal brush with cancer or not. It's a moral certainty that we know people who have been afflicted with cancer, some of whom who have survived, and not a few who've succumbed. As you heard Prem say, around 20,000 Australian men are diagnosed with prostate cancer each year, and over 3,000 die of it. Now that statistic will surprise many people, maybe not as many in this audience, but out there, a lot of people would be really surprised at those two statistics, but particularly the latter. Yet for many of us, even operating with that sort of basic knowledge of the threat to our health and to our lives, it's true that many of us, not least Australian men, we tend to shy away from symptoms and the suggestion that maybe there's a problem in our general health which might be more sinister than not. We shy away from investigating those symptoms, even to the degree of ignoring the need to seek precautionary testing and diagnosis. To check is to know, and to know is to recognise the need to act and face reality. It's silly and irrational, isn't it? Yet certainly in the case of prostate cancer, it need not be the unpalatable spectre, the intimidatory proposition which delays the seeking of help until the disease becomes life-threatening.